And it's happened at a time when it's probably never been more important in Illinois, certainly, and elsewhere, for that kind of journalism and reporting to be done. And so that's a very serious long-term issue. Which brings me to, you know who this is?
Colonel McCormick.
That's Colonel McCormick. That's our, long time he's out. That's actually their, I think I put him in the cornerstone of Tribune Tower. Back then, he didn't smile a lot, but he's got a good, he's smiling that day. So he's the one who got the foundation started. Colonel McCormick passed away in 1955. He had no children. He took all of his money, and mostly his Tribune stock, and put it into a charitable trust, which became the foundation. And he took his, I'm going to digress for one second, he took his property, his estate out in Wheaton called Cantini, and he put that into a trust so that people of Illinois could come out there and enjoy it forever. So I have to ask, who here has been to Cantini? Oh, that's great. Who's been there in the last 6 months? All right. So to help get you back out there, I've made you all members of the Cantini, what do they call it, or whatever Advantage. So you're now all Advantage members of Cantini. We'll give you, I mean, parking is not expensive to begin with out there, but we'll get you a break on that, and discounts on the store and on the food. So come on out. It's an amazing place. And, you know, there's the First Division Museum surrounded by all those tanks out there, and which are fun, and you've got the kids or grandkids. It's great, like I did when I was little. Go out, run around and climb on them. And the Colonel's house, the mansion, is amazing, and it's been restored to a great historical, you know, house museum. So if you haven't been out lately, come back out and come often. So he was, you probably all know about him. He was a, you know, crusading publisher. He loved Chicagoland, as he coined the phrase for it, which sometimes included up to the 5-state region. The surrounding the Colonel had big ideas. Crusaded for things like the convention center that bears his name, and believed in being part of the community. And nobody loved a good fight more than the Colonel over almost anything. And but he was engaged, and at the foundation, that's really what his legacy that we've tried to continue on. Do things. We operate in a number of program areas, but overall tied together with, like he did, try to make Chicagoland a better place. We focus on education, particularly early childhood, information and news, carrying on the journalistic tradition, and overall finding ways to get the community engaged in the community to make it a better place. So what I did want to do was talk about tying this back a little bit into the 400-year history of the newspaper business, into what we at the foundation are doing to try to address some of the present problems. So one of it is, even though we got this welter of all this information out there, we talked about the shrinkage of quality journalism, and particularly what goes into investigative news reporting. And we work with a lot of groups. We mentioned a few of them here. One is the Chicago Reporter. Do you guys see and read the Chicago Reporter?
Yes.
Ever? It is fabulous, and they got a sister publication, The Catalyst, that covers mostly educational issues. They do some of the best work on social issues in the city. So one of the things, they're not a new media thing as such, but they do quality reporting and coverage the old-fashioned way, and we believe in what they do, so they're a great partner of ours. Elsewhere, what we're getting into is some of these new models, some not-for-profit, interesting new partnerships, including ones that partner with high schools and universities. So a new thing we're doing through the Medill School and other parts of Northwestern is they're launching a watchdog reporting program that's going to involve a lot of students, not just at Medill, and basically identify some key issues that out in the community that they'll put effort against to research and investigate, and then we'll hopefully partner with new and traditional media outlets to get the stories out. We're going to be doing a similar thing, network, and I should introduce to Clark Bell, who's sitting in the, Clark heads up our journalism program. He's a long time, I mean too long, doesn't go all the way back to McCormick, but Clark's a long-time Chicago journalist, and many of you have read his work. And so another thing we're doing is building a similar network with, I think, 15 different universities across the Midwest, where the professors will engage students and do, again, investigative news work, some for those students who will plan to go on and have careers in journalism, others just who are interested in being engaged and helping the community. Investigative News Network is a group that's like a consortium of a lot of these new not-for-profit models that are working together, and the network kind of shares best practices and back office and legal support. And so the fact is, nobody knows where all this is going. But what we see is that there's a lot of experimental and developmental things going on, and some of them will work and some won't. But it's very, very important in our view to identify the people who can be leaders, particularly in the younger people in the next generation, who want to sustain the tradition of quality journalism and investigative reporting. Everybody know who those guys are in the picture?
Woodward and Bernstein.
Right. So, beyond the resources to do the investigation, you need a framework of law and a disposition in government to be open and accessible with First Amendment freedoms, press freedoms, important, but they're fundamentally to defend the public's right to be informed. Everybody remembers the Thomas Jefferson quote that if he had to choose between government without newspapers and newspaper government, which would he pick? Newspapers without government. And it really is frightening to think of a system of government in Illinois or Chicago where we didn't have a vigorous press. But one of the things in here, the area we're working on, is Chicago doesn't rank, and Illinois don't rank very well in terms of their overall openness and access, and whether it's Freedom of Information Act. George Randy and colleagues have been working in Springfield to fix some of this. We're supporting their work too. Better Government Association, Chicago Headline Club, which is a journalistic-oriented group. What we want to do is, with partners, and it's all about the partners in the work like Metropolis 2020 and the campaign for political reform in Illinois and the Better Government Association, is we need people to get out there and insist that we have a system of laws and government that is open and accountable and transparent. And we aren't nearly there yet. We're making some headway on it. And but it's something that's so important that we continue to stay at as a community. The third here, and here I have a couple things I want to show you and play for you, is the work that some of our partners are doing in helping not build an audience. So we've got the audience, but it goes back to this point about, all right, so we've got this overwhelming amount of information and people don't know what to do with it. And so there's a lot of interesting work being done in youth media groups and under programs that are called news literacy, where basically the effort is to help people, and particularly young people, build the critical thinking skills and experiences to be able to know what news is and what news stands for, and how to separate news from noise and blogs from from reported and edited material. And it's really, really important. We think some of the early work that we're seeing is quite positive. There's a lot of it going on in Chicagoland. The Chicago Youth Voices that I mentioned here is a network of 11 programs. It includes, I saw our friends from Brenda and Nancy from Columbia College, who I didn't have them on here. If I'd been thinking about it, I would have. They are part of the Youth Voices Network, doing some amazing things, including with networks of building high school journalism programs, as well as their own journalism training at the college level. So there's a lot of effort. It's important. It needs further support and nurturing from the community. And I wanted to give you a feel for a couple of these. First, though, I will mention our own Berkman Center at the Harvard Law School. They're a recent grantee and partner of ours. They're going to do some really interesting work in youth media and understanding some of these issues about how young people experience media of different sorts and how they assess the credibility of different sources, and may, as part of that, help develop some of the curriculum that's used in the news literacy programs. So first I want to talk about TrueStar, which is one of the groups in Chicago that does some really great work. And rather than me talking about it, I want to have you hear from the young people themselves.
My name is Chantel Sharman Jarman, and I'm one of the students for TrueStar Radio on Power 92. TrueStar Foundation is a multimedia organization for youth, and everything is done by teens. It was founded about 6 years ago. It started off as just a newsletter, and it branched off and grew from just a newsletter to a magazine. And the magazine grew even more, and now we have a graphics design team, a radio team, magazine team. Teens learn the business. They learn how to sell ads. They learn how to write a story. They learn how to talk on the radio here, but it also helps them so when they do graduate high school or graduate college, they have a resume now, and they have something that they could take to a company to say, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for 2 years, 3 years. I've only been involved with TrueStar for a year now, and we get our ideas from daily life. We always ask, like, what do you feel about Chicago? What is your opinion on violence? What is your opinion on schools? And we always just make sure we let them feel like they're doing the show. I want my show to be something that's not just entertaining, but it inspires people and makes people want to follow their dreams. There's too many dream killers out here. The fact that you could be somebody on the radio that they listen to every day and inspire them to be motivated and don't give up, it's an empowering thing. And it makes me stay grounded, and it keeps me focused on my own dream when other people say, man, I really needed to hear your show today because it made me want to go back to school, or it made me go get that job I was looking for. It's just a good look for Chicago. Like, TrueStar is really a good look for teens in general because it shows that we're not lost. Like, it's hope for us. And it gives Chicago a better voice. You always hear about teens killing each other or teens, doing something bad, but you never hear about the positive things teens are doing. TrueStar does it for thousands of teens throughout Chicago.
And these stories get repeated in these programs hundreds and thousands of times a year. And they have the power to completely transform the lives of the students who are involved in them, as well as the communities that are then much better places and where the kids get engaged.